It wasn't that at all. The 8 people sitting at the table were anywhere from 25 to 26 years in age. If I were to guess, there were 5 guys and 3 ladies, all of different nationalities. 4 of the guys wore mirrored shades, and when I questioned why they were wearing their sunglasses indoors, Jared said he had been watching a show about gambling in his room, and the shades were to prevent players from giving away their tells. He went on to explain that tells were giveaways, such as an excited look on a player's face if he had a good hand. Jared also explained to me the game was much about knowing how the other players would play and anticipating the other players' moves. We were close enough to the ropes surrounding the tables that I was able to hear Jesse and the other players. It was almost like listening to another language. But I don't really get it. The game starts by the dealer, Jesse, dealing out 2 cards, said Cooper. Out of those 2 cards, the players can bet or fold. How in the heck are they supposed to know what to do based on 2 measly cards? I think that's probably the whole point of the game, Presley, Jared said dryly. It's not supposed to be easy. Exactly, Cooper said. Poker is largely a game of chance. So once the first round of betting is complete, the next step is called the flop. That's where Jesse will deal another round of 3 cards, and then there is another round of betting. Jesse, the dealer, deals another card, followed by another round of betting, then a 5th card, and the last round of betting, which is either folding or calling. Those left after that round show their hands, and the best hand wins. It sounds easy and complicated all at the same time, I said. It is. I've played a few times for fun with the guys, and because I know them, I can often tell who's bluffing and who's not. After all, my job is to read people. These professionals are like rocks. No expression. You could see the intense concentration on the players' faces. I couldn't believe with as many tables, if players and people watching, it was so easy for them to block out the activity around them. The pit boss called for a dealer change, and Jesse walked off the floor and put a hand to his mouth like he was drinking something, which I knew meant coffee. He was as big of an addict as I was. I nodded that I got the message. Come on, guys. Jesse wants us to meet him at the coffee place. The 3 of us threaded our way through the crowd to meet Jesse. When we got there, he already had a cup and looked visibly shaken. I was concerned. He had been perfectly fine 2 minutes ago. Jesse, what's wrong? She left me another message. It said she would call back in 1 hour, and to do whatever I had in order to take the call. It was urgent. That's great, Jess. That means she's still okay, and somehow able to make calls. But Presley, I have to go back on the floor in 30 minutes, and pretending to be sick or something won't work, because Simon said to pretend like I was following the orders given by Benini's guys, and to not show up at my assigned table would screw that all up. How has this all happened? Jesse sat down and put his head in his hands. Jesse, it's okay. One of us can take the call. I'm sure she'll understand. It's better than nothing. I guess you're right. I just really wanted to talk to her. Jesse's voice broke. I know, Jesse, but we will find her soon, and you can talk with her, I said, rubbing his back. I hated to see my baby brother this upset. He really liked this girl. Jesse, it's good that you weren't able to answer that phone call, and she has to call back, Cooper said. How's that? Because now I have time to put a trace on your phone that will be able to triangulate where any phone that calls into yours is located. I'm going to set that up right now. Cooper took out his phone to place a call to his guys. See, Jesse, this is going to be a good thing. That does make me feel a little better. I need to get back to the game. Are you guys going to come back and watch? Cooper walked up and answered. No, I think we should go back to your apartment and wait for the call. It will be more quiet there. Plus, if we can pinpoint where her phone is, we can decide our next steps. Okay. Here, take this number down. 702-403-6568. This is the cell number for Bart, one of the other guys. You can leave a message on his phone if you need me, and I can call back. We will, I said. And Presley? Yes. Tell her I really miss her, and I don't care what secret she had. I will, Jesse. I gave him a quick hug. Now go back to work. We will handle this. We were all sitting restlessly at Jesse's apartment waiting for Ashley's call, when I finally got up and went into the kitchen and started rifling through the drawers. What are you looking for? Jared said. The wine is on the table. Funny. I'm bored. I thought Jesse might have some playing cards here somewhere. Though we could play euchre or crazy eights, something to take our mind off the waiting. Here we go. Finally, in the third junk drawer I'd looked, was an old deck of cards held together by a rubber band. Hopefully they were all there. I walked back into the living room and sat down on the couch to sort the cards really quick. I didn't want to start a game just to find out we weren't playing with a full deck. Though, maybe we weren't. I laughed at my own private joke. What's funny? Asked Anna. Oh, nothing. Looks like they're all here. You guys up for a game? Sure, they all chorused. We played for a couple hours, no one mentioning the elephant in the room that was no call from Ashley. Jared finally threw his cards down. I keep losing. And why are we sitting here? It's obvious she isn't going to call. We can't stay out here indefinitely. We need to get out and find her. If only we could figure out the cat thing, Anna said. I had been mulling over the whole cat thing, trying to figure out what she meant. I felt it was right on the edge of my mind. It just wouldn't come out. She didn't actually have a cat, and neither did Jesse. He didn't think any of her friends did either. What could it be? Oh my God. That's it. Everyone looked at me. What's it? Asked Cooper. I know what Ashley meant by feed the cat. Or at least I think I do. Come on, we need to get to her house. Chapter 21. We all piled into Jesse's car, Cooper driving, and headed over to Ashley's apartment complex. So what is it, Press? Jared said. Don't keep us in suspense. Ashley kept mentioning feed the cat, and we all assumed she meant a real cat, what she doesn't have. I just remember seeing a black stuffed cat in her room. I can't believe it just occurred to me, because when I saw it the other day, the character Shirley from the sitcom Laverne and Shirley and her stuffed cat Boo Boo Kitty popped in my head. So you're thinking she hid something in the stuffed cat? Cooper asked. Yes. What else could it be? That's as good as an idea as any, and you might just be right, said Cooper. Good thinking, Press, said Jared. There is just one minor problem, said Cooper. What? I asked. Ashley's apartment is a crime scene, and it's going to be locked down. I grabbed her key from Jesse's. Cooper chuckled. Well, that helps, but I mean we aren't allowed on a crime scene. Surely we can get around that. Not legally, Cooper said dryly. Not that it matters to you much. Sometimes rules just don't make sense. Like, now, if I told the detectives my thoughts, they probably wouldn't even pay attention to it, and we would wait for them to do nothing. Well, calm down. I wasn't suggesting we wait. I was simply making an observation. We pulled into the parking lot and parked in front of her building. Cooper turned to us. You guys stay here. I'll be right back. It's apartment 1A, right? And you said it was a black cat in her room? Yes, but I'm coming with you, I said, unbuckling my seatbelt. Absolutely not, Cooper said sternly. What we are doing is technically breaking and entering, and I will take the risk. You will stay here. But if you get caught, wouldn't we still be accessories? Cooper just looked at me. I don't think he appreciated my comments, so I just shrugged, and kept my mouth shut. He walked into the building. "You're so hard on him, Press," Jared said. "Jared, don't start with me. That was personal. It was about Ashley. I'm just saying, he loves you, and you need to give him a chance." "Jared, you know it's complicated." I was saved from any more questions on my love life by the appearance of Cooper coming out the front door. He opened the car door and slid into the driver's seat. "Did you get it?" "Yep," he said tersely. "Well, what is it?" "Let's get out of here first." "Why can't you just tell—" "That's why," he said, glancing in the rearview mirror. I turned in my seat, and so did Anna and Jared. There was a black Mercedes behind us. "That car?" I asked. "Who is it?" "It's the guys from the bar we met Sweetie at. I assume they work for Nini." "Are they following us?" Anna said. "It looks that way," Cooper said. "What are you going to do?" I asked him. "Head back to Harrah's. It's a lot more populated than Jesse's apartment, and I want to stay where people are. Presley, grab my phone, will you?" It had slid on the floor off the console, and I picked it up and handed it to him. He punched in some numbers, and then put the phone to his ear. "I think someone's following us," he said after a moment. "Yeah, I'm headed to Harrah's." "Are you sure? You don't need to bring this to your hotel?" I assumed at this point he was talking to Simon. "Okay, then. See you in about 10. He snapped his phone shut. "Was that Simon?" I asked. "Yeah. He said to drive to his hotel and pull around to the service entrance. He will be back there waiting for us." "Ooh, this is getting exciting," said Jared. "Not the kind of exciting we want," Cooper said dryly. "They must want whatever you found in her apartment. What did you find?" "ASD card." "So, we need to see what's on that card, and then we might find where Ashley is?" "Exactly," he replied. Turning down the street that would take us in the back entrance to the palazzo, the black Mercedes was still behind us. We pulled into the service entrance, and I saw Simon standing outside with a couple of his security guards. We reached him, and Cooper shut off the car. The black Mercedes pulled in, and then I assumed they saw Simon because they quickly backed out. After a few seconds, Cooper said it was okay to get out. He walked over to Simon and stuck his hand out to shake his. "Thanks, man. It seems like they didn't want to deal with you." "Then they must not be as dumb as I thought," said Simon. "Why were they following you?" "We were at Ashley's apartment, and I found something I think they were also looking for, and I have a feeling they don't want anyone else to have it. They're definitely Benini's guys. Now that they know you have this, they won't leave you alone." "That's what I'm afraid of." "We need to find out what's on that card," I said. "Why don't you guys come in? I'll bet we have something here that will read it. My security team has all the gadgets you could ever want, and you'll be safe here." "Then what are we waiting for?" I said. We followed Simon into the hotel and down the hall into a room that was filled with tons of monitors and people looking at them, watching for cheating, I assumed. I could see a bank of monitors on the tournament. Think that scene in Ocean's 11 where Andy Garcia takes one of the Ocean 11 guys into his security room to show him how safe his jewels would be. It was very much like that. He led us into a small private room with glass windows, so you could see what was happening in the room, but it must have been soundproof, as I couldn't hear what was going on out there. "So what do we have?" Simon asked. Cooper pulled a small SD card out of his pocket and set it on the table. "This is what I think they wanted, and now correctly I assume I have. If they took Ashley, and I'm thinking now this is pretty likely, there must be something she had on this card that they don't want getting out." "Which is what we need to find out," I said. "What's on that card? Simon, do you think you have something that can read it?" "Yes. It's just a normal SD card. I should be able to pull whatever is on the card up on my laptop. Let me go get it." "Cooper, what are we going to do once we have proof that Benini has Ashley?" Turn this over to the police is what we're going to do, Press. This is not something we need to get any further involved in. Benini's guys are following us. Not a good thing. I wasn't sure how to tell him I felt we needed to find Ashley and couldn't wait for the police, but was saved from doing such by Simon coming back into the room with his laptop. He sat down and grabbed the SD card and slipped it into his card reader that was hooked on his laptop with the USB. We all looked anxiously at Simon's laptop, waiting to see what would come up on the screen. It only took a few seconds, and what we saw on the screen shocked me. I don't know what I was expecting. Maybe Benini was someone else's wife or something. This was much more hardcore. There were shots of what I assumed was a drug deal, including Benini and his men. Then a shot of Benini pointing a gun at the back of someone's head, with the next shot of the same guy lying flat on the ground, with a bullet hole in the back of his head. Wow. Did Ashley take these? Jared asked. She must have, or she knows who did since she had them. No wonder Benini doesn't want to let these fall in the wrong hands. Cooper, what are we going to do? He hesitated and looked at Simon. We need to take this to the cops, Simon said. But Cooper, I'm not sure if they will get to Ashley in time. Chapter 22. I told you that you would have to talk to me at some point, Presley. Now is as good of time as any. Cooper was right. He had warned me. I had just been hoping I could put it off for a long time and not think about it. No such luck. I should have known he would hold me to it. He was also right that we shouldn't avoid getting things out in the open. I just didn't want a difficult emotional conversation. Did anyone? Okay, fine. We can talk, but can we put a time limit on it? I smiled, to let him know I was teasing. Sort of. The time to stop talking is when we get things worked out for good. What do you mean for good? My heart raced a little, thinking if he meant for good as in ending things. To never leave the door open. Not even just a little bit. And I would be devastated. What did that mean? I think you will agree we can't keep doing what we're doing. I know we made a decision a while back that we were in 2 different places in life, and unfortunately not living in proximity, but we can't seem to break things off and just be friends. The feelings aren't just going to go away. And either we figure out how to make this work, or I don't think we should talk anymore. I was floored. I really didn't think he would ever say that. I guess I took for granted that at some point maybe we could figure things out. Now I was confused. I didn't know what to do with this ultimatum. You don't have anything to say about that? I don't know what to say, Cooper. Don't you have feelings for me still? Of course I do. I just had to put my mind in a place of thinking we were going to have to figure out how to make this not being together work. Plus we argue so much. We argue, and we have passion. He gave me a look when he said that, and it gave me shivers. He had a point there. You can have those 2 things without disagreeing at times, and I for one wouldn't give that up. Would you? I had to admit I didn't. The one thing I loved about Cooper is that I always knew no matter how much we disagreed, we would always at some point work things out. No, I told him. I don't want to give that up, but I don't know what the solution is. This really upset me. I didn't want him out of my life, but how to make it work? I have no idea what to do, Cooper. Then listen, and have an open mind. Okay. I think we should give this a try again, and see what happens. But... He held his hand up to stop me from continuing. I said listen and have an open mind. I know the logistics of where we both live are one of our main problems. So I was thinking, I travel a lot, so why don't you come with me? I started to open my mouth again, and he rushed on. I have plenty of money. You can take a leave from your job, travel with me, and try to write the book you've been wanting to write. We give it 6 months, enough time to really make sure we can tell if it will work or not, and figure out next steps. Wow. I really don't know what to say. It sounded amazing, but did I really want to give up my job and friends to travel with Cooper? What if it didn't work out? Even more scary? What if it did? Then don't say anything right now. Just think about it until we find Ashley, and then we can talk again. Okay. Chapter 23. He came by again, Anna said to me over the phone. We had all went our separate ways about an hour before. Jared to play the slots, Jessie to work, and Anna and I to sleep. I had just fallen asleep when she called and woke me up. Who? Jeff? Yep. Said he was on the way to the airport to catch the red-eye and wanted to apologize one last time and try to get me to forgive him. What did you say? The same thing I said yesterday, not a chance. Are you sure, Anna? I mean, he did a horrendous thing to you, but you've forgiven him so much already, and you've always said you felt he was your soulmate. So are you sure this is what you want? I would understand if you gave him another chance. I would think she's crazy, but I would understand. I will always support you no matter what you decide. I know, Presley. Believe me, I have thought long and hard about it, and I just don't think he will ever change. It's not even a matter of this particular instance of him leaving me at the altar. I can understand cold feet. It's more about his never wanting to give me any kind of commitment to the point he would hurt me like this. He will never change. I'm afraid you're right, though for your sake, I wish you weren't. I assume you told him all this? Yes, everything. I wanted him very clear on where I stood. Why, I really wanted him to just leave me alone and not try to get me back. We're done, and we both need to move on as to not hurt each other anymore. How do you take it? Frankly, I think he was expecting it. I have to give him some credit for trying at least. So you're really ready to move on? I think so, Press. And I'm not nearly as sad about it as I would have expected to be. That's good, I guess. Enough about me. What's up with you and Cooper? You two seem to be getting along well. I just didn't want to ask you in front of everyone else. Yeah, we are getting along well. He asked me to take some time off and travel with him. I nonchalantly said. He did? When? Hannah practically screamed. I was wide awake now. Why am I just now hearing this? I haven't made a decision yet. There's too much going on right now with Jessie and Ashley to even think about my own life. That's where you're wrong. You can't always make up excuses. Your life is more important than anyone else's. You're the one who has to live it, and you need to be happy and do what you want to do. What's the hang-up? It's just all so much. I feel overwhelmed. Give up my job just for him? I don't know. He's not asking you to give up your job. He's asking you to leave it for a short time and see if you two can make things work. Think of it as a good time to work on your book. That's what he said. I sighed. It just seems like a big step. Chapter 24. What makes you think Michelle knows where Ashley is? Jessie asked me as we arrived at the Pink Pony. We had snuck off from everyone else, as I didn't want our entire posse to descend on everyone there. It would be way too obvious. Cooper wasn't going to be happy, but he often wasn't happy with me, so I figured, what was one more time? It just makes sense. Ashley has told you twice now to remember to feed the cat. We got the SD card from her stuffed cat, but what else could she be referring to? Okay, let's say you're right. Why would Michelle go out on a limb for her? This is Benini's club after all. Yep, that's why she has been resistant to talk to us. She didn't want to put either Ashley or herself in jeopardy by telling anyone, not even Sweetie. So what makes you think she will spill her guts to us now? Jessie asked. Well, I hate to pull out the big guns, but I'm telling Sweetie if she doesn't give it up. We're going to have to wait a bit. She's on stage right now. We walked over to the bar and sat down. What brings you in tonight? Sweetie said to me as I sat down, reached behind the bar, and grabbed a bottled water. I thought you were done with your waitressing career. It is, but I want to talk to Michelle. You're our persistent thing. You know, she won't be happy that you're here waiting to talk to her again. I don't care. She needs to be more helpful. Sweetie raised his eyes. I hadn't been this aggressive before. It wasn't normally me, but I knew Michelle had the phone, or at least knew where it was. And this was the final piece in finding Ashley. I knew it was. I felt it in my gut. The music ended, and Michelle walked off stage, noticing we were there. Wait for me, Jessie. I'll be right back, I said, and hopped off the stool to quickly follow her back to the dressing room. I didn't want to give Michelle any chance to sneak out again like she had on many other occasions. I had just stepped through the door of the dressing room when someone grabbed my arm and pulled me to the side. I was startled for a minute, until I realized it was Michelle. What the hell are you doing here? She spat. You know why I'm here, Michelle. What I don't know is why you have played all these games. Someone's life is hanging in the balance. Whose? Ashley's? Yeah. So you figured out I must know something? But you don't know the truth about Ashley. I'm not following. Ashley is DEA. DEA? Holy crap. Never in a million years would I have thought cute, petite little Ashley was a DEA agent. Her looks and stature were probably to her advantage working undercover. Does Sweetie know? Of course he does. And that's the problem. You didn't tell him why you came tonight, did you? No. I just told him I was going to talk to you whether you liked it or not. Good. Why? He is one of the good guys, isn't he? Yes and no. Listen, we can't talk here. Please don't tell Sweetie anything. Not a thing from here out. Now leave. I get off at 3. Meet me here. She scribbled an address on a piece of paper and handed it to me. Where is... Figure it out. You've got this far. Now get out of here. I walked out of the dressing room back to the front and had a thought. I hoped Jessie hadn't said anything. I would have thought nothing of telling Sweetie, and I'm sure Jessie wouldn't either. I got back to the bar and couldn't tell if anything had been said, as Sweetie had the same expression as always. Get anywhere? Sweetie asked. Nope. About the same as usual. Your tough tactics didn't work? He teased me. Guess I'm not as tough as I thought. Come on, Jessie. Cooper has already called 3 times. I'm sure they are all wondering where we went. You guys snuck off without your friends? Sweetie raised his eyebrows. Shame, shame. Well, Cooper doesn't so much like the fact I've worked a few shifts here, so I thought it best we not tell, and I thought we would be back before they really noticed we had been gone long. Come on, Jessie. I just wanted to get out of there. This casual conversation with Sweetie was making me uncomfortable. Bye, Sweetie. Talk to you later. See ya. What was all that about, Press? Jessie said. You acted like you couldn't wait to get out of there. I thought you liked Sweetie. I do. I did. I need to explain, but not right now. I started to walk faster to the car. Just, let's get out of here first. We reached the car, and Jessie started to unlock it. You know I can't let you leave. I froze and slowly turned around. What are you talking about, man? Jessie said to Sweetie. You'll have to ask your sister. But I can't let you leave. Not right now. Sweetie, I don't know what you think we know, but it's nothing. Michelle wouldn't talk. Now stop being silly. I reached my hand to the door handle again, and that's the last thing I remember, before everything went black. Chapter 25. When I came to, I was in a dark room of decent size. My head was pounding, and I reached up to feel the back of my head and could feel a big goose egg had formed on the back of my skull. I touched it gingerly. It was painful as hell, and I was wishing desperately for a couple of aspirin and a Diet Coke. As my eyes came into focus, I noticed I wasn't alone. I was in a room with Jessie, Michelle, and Ashley. Jessie was still lying on the floor with Ashley by his side. "What happened?" I asked no one in particular. "Sweetie decided you guys shouldn't leave and knocked you out in the parking lot and brought us all here," Michelle replied. "But I thought—" I trailed off. I was so confused. "Sweetie's a rogue agent," Ashley replied. I was trying to process all this when I heard my brother groan. "Is he okay?" I asked Ashley, who was hovering over him like the doting girlfriend I had assumed she was upon first meeting her. "He will be. He's got a hard head," she said affectionately. I looked around the room. It was windowless, and while there were double doors at one end of the room, I was assuming they would be locked. So forgive me for asking the obvious, but how do we get out of here? "We don't," Ashley said flatly. "We wait." "Wait for what?" "Benini still doesn't have what he wants. He will be here soon to try and get it." That doesn't fill me with hope of getting out of here. Not alive, anyways. I was finally starting to wish I had listened to Cooper and stayed out of things. "Don't worry." "Easy for you to say. I'm not an undercover DEA agent," I said to Ashley, a little more biting than I probably should have, but I was scared. "Where are the pictures? I assume you found them," she said, my tone not fazing her in the least. "We did, and Cooper and Simon have them. I know you don't know either of them, but trust me, those pictures couldn't be in better hands." "She's right, Ashley," Jessie said, finally coming to, and wincing with the effort of speaking. "These guys are the best." "I certainly hope so, because—" She broke off and cocked her head toward the door. "I hear someone coming. Listen to me. Let me do the talking. Michelle, you ready?" Michelle nodded, and we fell silent just as we heard the tumbler of the deadbolt move and the door swung open. Shadows fell over the three people who walked in. Then the figures took a few more steps forward, and I could see it was Benini, and some guy I had seen with Benini before, and Sweetie. I was so disappointed. I had read him all wrong. "Dear sweet Presley, we meet again. I must say, Benini, your accommodations leave a lot to be desired. I would have expected more from you." I saw Ashley shake her head out of the corner of my eye. I knew this wasn't leaving the talking to her, but I wasn't going to let him intimidate me now, no matter how scared I was on the inside. He chuckled. "I'm sorry, sweetheart, but you wouldn't be in this predicament had you stayed with the waitressing and away from butting into my business. Now, speaking of business," he turned to Ashley, voice growing cold and hard. "Where are the pictures? I'm tired of your games." "I told you I don't have them," Ashley said defiantly. "That answer is getting old, and the more you say it, the less I believe you. Eugene?" He nodded at Eugene, Sweetie, who walked over to where Jessie was sitting on the floor and pulled a gun from his shoulder holster and pointed it at the back of Jessie's head. I could hear Ashley take in a sharp breath, but still she didn't say anything. I was getting really nervous, my palms sweating. "Would you like to answer my question truthfully this time?" Ashley just stared him down. Benini nodded at Sweeney, who cocked the trigger back. Ashley was just standing there, and I couldn't take it. "Cooper and Simon have them." Ashley gave me a dirty look. and Benini a surprised one. "Simon Palazzo?" he said. "Yes." Benini didn't know Cooper, but he definitely knew Simon, and I hoped he knew enough about Simon to know it was in his best interest to not kill us. That makes things interesting. Come on, boys, he said to Sweetie and the other guys, and they abruptly walked out. I could hear the door lock behind them. "What the hell were you thinking?" Ashley hissed at me. "I told you to stay quiet. You're jeopardizing what I've worked hard for this last year." She was pissed, but I didn't care. I cared more about keeping my brother's head bullet-free. "Calm down, Ashley. What did you expect her to do when the guy had a gun pointed to my head?" Jessie said. We all fell silent as we heard the lock click again, and Benini came back into the room. "Tie them up, boys," he said. "We're going for a ride." Chapter 26. "Presley, are you okay?" asked Cooper, as Benini and his men walked us all in the back room of the Pink Pony, where we were meeting to exchange the pictures for us. I wasn't stupid. I didn't have a pie-in-the-sky thought that this was going to go smoothly. My arms hurt from having my hands tied behind my back, and I could tell by the look on Cooper's face he was trying to control his anger. "I'm fine," I replied. "Let's cut the bullshit," Benini said. "You have the pictures?" "Right here, Benini," Simon said, showing the SD card. "Our deal was you release the girls and Jessie, and you get your card back." "Simon, my boy, you should know it's not going to be that simple. All of you know what's on that card. I can't have that. Unless you're planning on killing us all, and that wouldn't be good for you. You're going to have to trust us." "Then what do you suppose we do?" "We give you the card, and agree not to go to the police, and you agree to stay away from everyone in this room." "Oh, Simon, you were always an optimistic boy. There are federal agents in here, and only one is on my side. I know there isn't a chance in hell if I let them walk out of here alive, that they will keep their mouths shut. Now give me that card, or watch them die." Benini pulled out a gun, and his thugs followed suit. Within seconds, Simon and Cooper were in a standoff with Benini and his guys. "You're making a big mistake, Benini. This isn't going to end in your favor." "Simon, look around. You're outnumbered. You may shoot me, but you and your friend will surely die, and I will still end up with what I want." For what seemed like hours, but only a few seconds, we all stood there, no one saying anything. I was actually getting increasingly worried about how this was going to end. I had to agree with Benini. I didn't see any easy way out of this, without anyone dying, and I didn't like that thought at all. Then I heard a crash, and looked over. "DEA! Put your weapons down!" I heard a voice scream as several men burst through the door. I heard a gunshot, then another, and there was screaming and commotion. I dropped to my knees and covered my head, waiting for the chaos to subside. After a few minutes it became quiet, and I felt an arm around my shoulder. "Are you okay, Press?" Cooper said gently. "I'm fine," I said, looking up. 2 of Benini's guys were dead on the floor, and Benini and Sweetie were being led away in handcuffs. Cooper reached behind me and untied my hands, allowing the circulation back in them. "Is Jessie okay?" "Yes. He's over there with Ashley." Cooper pointed to my right, and I looked over to see Jessie and Ashley hugging. Thank goodness. Chapter 27. We had spent all night, it seemed, at the police station, talking with the detectives and the FBI, who wasn't all that thrilled that the DEA and the ATF had been running undercover operations without their knowledge. But luckily, that pissing match had nothing to do with me. We gave our statements, and the law enforcement parties involved asked us to stay one more day courtesy of them, which wasn't a hardship to us. We were all ready to have a relaxing day by the pool with no worries. I still can't get over that my sweet Ashley is a DEA agent, Jessie said. I'm so confused. I think that blow to my head has impaired my thinking ability. I doubt that, Jessie. Just a lot to take in. Sweetie and Michelle had been investigating Benini, but Sweetie was suspected of being a rogue agent, and Ashley was brought in. She was a plant from the DEA, who worked on a joint task force with the ATF. Ashley killed one of Benini's guys, who was trying to get the pictures from her, and that's when Benini took her, waiting to get his hands on the pictures she captured for evidence for her investigation. Because of Sweetie, he knew the DEA was trouble. Us snooping was probably the only thing that kept her alive as long as it did, and she was able to sweet-talk one of Benini's guys who liked her to use his phone. Unfortunately, Benini found out, and that guy would be another murder rap that Benini would go to prison for. I'm just glad you guys are safe, Anna said, shuddering. When I think of what could have happened... No kidding. I can't believe you left us sitting at a hotel when you were putting your life in danger, said Jared. I had to leave someone behind to rescue us, I joked, just happy we were all okay. That's my job, said Cooper, his shadow falling over me as he walked up to my chair. Hey, you're blocking the sun, I said. See what I have to put up with? I save her life, and she worries about not catching enough rays. He stepped to the left so the full sun was once again upon me. Can I talk to you for a minute, Press? Sure, I said, sitting up. Have a seat. I patted the space next to me. I need to leave tonight, and I was hoping you had a chance to think about my offer. I could hear everyone go silent behind me in an attempt to eavesdrop. I had so many mixed emotions, but I did know my life seemed much more right with him. But to give up my job, and I would have to sublet my condo and be away from my friends for something that may not work? And if it didn't, where would I be? I looked up into his eyes, and they were so clear and honest. I knew he cared. Okay. What? Okay. What the hell? When do we leave? And where are we going? I knew I had made the right decision when I saw the huge smile on his face. I could hear my friends behind me clapping, and Cooper put his arms around me and hugged me. You won't be sorry, he said. I'd better not be, or you will. I melted into his arms and looked forward to whatever the future had to bring. Dear reader, thank you for reading Handbags and Hooligans. I hope you enjoyed it. If you missed the first Presley Thurman mystery, Stilettos and Scoundrels, or the second, Necklaces and Nooses, make sure you catch up. Stilettos and Scoundrels. Prologue. Gently touching the handle of the front door was all it took to make it swing wide open. It was late, after midnight, and everyone in the house except Tom was asleep. As usual, Tom was in his study working late. Walking carefully and quietly through the foyer, the adrenaline began to kick in. The intruder confidently walked into Tom's study. Tom was concentrating so hard on the papers in front of him that he was unaware of anything else. Raising his hand, the intruder hit a stack of books sitting on a side table, sending them crashing to the floor. Tom spun around, with a look of shock on his face, as he recognized the person swinging a sharp object toward him. Tom raised his hands to protect himself, but he wasn't quick enough. The spiky end of the stiletto heel punctured his neck instantly, sending a spray of blood over the papers on his desk. He tried to cry out, but all that sounded was a gurgling noise as his lungs filled with blood. The intruder set the shoe down next to Tom and backed out of the room softly, closing the door to the study and hoping no one would come looking for Tom until morning. Necklaces and Nooses. Prologue. Sloane always turned and gazed lovingly at her boutique before walking out the door each night. It was a ritual of sorts, to walk to the front of the boutique and pivot to take a look at all that was hers, and to breathe in the smell of success from all her hard work and determination. She'd be damned if she was going to let that asshole take it from her. She built this, and would die before she let anyone have it. He didn't do a thing except complain the entire time about how stupid she was, that everyone knew retail was a losing proposition. And the sheer fact that she would take money out of her trust fund and throw it away on something as frivolous as a clothing store proved how stupid she was. She needed to find another hobby, he had the audacity to say. As if this was a hobby? And certainly was underestimating her now. She began to wonder if he ever really understood her, because if he had, he would have realized that silk was the accumulation of years of dreams. She turned back around to walk out the door and go home for the night, but slammed right into a strange man. "Who the hell are you?" she exclaimed, thinking she must have been lost in thought to not hear this guy sneaking up on her. She berated herself for not locking the door when closing. She always forgot, and as the ladies she worked with kept reminding her, this was Chicago. Even though the boutique was located in a good part of town, at night you can never be too careful. "That's not important," the man said. "What is important is that you give me what belongs to me." "What are you talking about? I don't even know who you are. You just better leave, buddy, before I call the cops." Sloane tried to sound menacing, not scared like she was. She had grown up in the city, but had never been in this situation. "I told you. I'm not leaving until I get my merchandise. Now I know you have it, so turn it over." "Have what?" She had no idea what he was talking about, and her confusion almost overrode her fear. "My jewelry. I know you got it in your last shipment. If you think I'm going to let you and your people cash in on my hard work, you're wrong. Now hand it over or you'll be sorry." "For the last time, I have no idea what you're talking about. This has gone far enough. I'm calling the cops, so you better leave." Sloane reached into her purse and grabbed her cell. She pulled it out and started to dial 911 when the intruder knocked it out of her hand. "Now wait just a minute." "No, I'm done waiting." The intruder stepped closer to Sloane and grabbed her around the throat. "Oh my God," she thought, and everything went black. Check out my website at www.lainaturner.com.